tactics to improve your paddle game. Think about the paddle is a sport of unforced errors. So the less mistakes or unforced errors you do, the more chances to win the matches. But so, consistency in paddle beats power. The more consistent player, the more perseverant is kind of players who don't try to win all the times. Usually in the sport of paddle, it looks very simple. When you see the pro players, for example, playing, you see like it looks very simple because they play forehands, backhands, bandejas, and you feel like, I can do that. But then when you are on court, you are at the net and you try always to win, or the shot is coming high that gives you time and you always try to attack. Don't think that in the sport of paddle you got to attack all the times. Remember, as I told you before, that paddle is not a sport of winners, but it's a sport of no unforced errors. Managing your energies is very important as well. Not only because if you go every time for winners, and usually if you are not winners, are losers. Think about that. I always say that if you are not winners, you play a winner. But if it's not a winner, it's a loser. You don't want to lose. So what I mean with this is that if you go for so many winners and you lose the points, not only you get frustrated, but also your partner. So make sure you manage the momentums and you manage and control when to go for winners and when to control the game. Usually, in the sport of paddle, it's more a matter of controlling the game more than going for winners. Knowing the weaknesses of your opponents and their strength as well will make you a better player. I always recommend my students to start from the warming up, knowing if that player is better with the forehands or backhands, if that player is a good playing bandejas or more offensive with the smashes, so I know which kind of shot I should play and where to play that shot to my opponents. Because if you know the weakness of your opponents, you become a better player. When you're at the net, you and your partner, you cover one position. So if you play to one player, only for example to your cross court, you will always maintain and keep the same position, perhaps helping you a lot tactically to reduce the amount of unforced errors. Don't forget that using the middle in the sport of paddle, playing shots to the middle will make two things. First, reducing, as mentioned before, the amount of unforced errors because you're not going to make mistakes to the side fence or to the sidewall, but also to make your opponents trying to reach the shot. Think about that the middle is, I always say, that is a communal garden. Yeah, it's a shot sometimes that any of the two players can go. If you play only to one corner, only to one player, then you are forcing yourself to go only to that place. So if there is one of the players who is a little bit weaker and you try to get to that player, consider the middle as well as part of the game in order to reduce, as we said before, the unforced errors and become a different level player. Choosing which side to play is very important as well. You can be a right side player or left side player. You might be thinking, well, I play anywhere and it's fine. It's not bad, but in the sport of paddle we have back walls. And so because we have the back walls, the sport becomes much more tactical. And also, if you're right-handed player and you play on the right side, you have the backhand in the middle. So making you a more defensive player, more tactical player cannot be as offensive as the left side player, because the left side player will be perhaps more offensive, a little bit more fit, taller, or any of those kind of players who are more offensive because they face the whole court in front of them with a forehand. But if you play on the right side, so because you're going to have the backhand in the middle, you will become a little bit more tactical player. Emotionally, I always say, emotionally more controlling the kind of game that you play when you play on the right side. To finalize with all this beautiful video, I want to talk to you about the tactics with your partner. Yes, there are other videos about talking about tactics, but in this one, I just want to make sure that you know that in the sport of paddle is more tactical than technical. So sometimes you see people holding the racket not in the proper way, but they're good players because they know that paddle is a sport of unforced errors, so they don't do mistakes. They play more to the middle, like 1 meter from the net, in order to avoid mistakes to the net and to the back wall. They're not perhaps very offensive, but they are good players. They are good emotionally with the partners, they are good partners. So in the sport of paddle, that's why we always say it's a unique sport, because there are so many things you can learn to become a different level paddle player.